of the big deal for Ray was we were hoping she'd come back, or, you know, we'd get some kind of backstory or something, and then just dead in one.
It's just as cryptic as before. But so, of course, we all know that Yuko's big thing is that her payment has to be equal to whatever wish she's granting. Like, that's, you know, the law of exchange.
Because otherwise it causes damage, as we saw when
Right.
Manuki was learning how to grant wishes. It would overtax him, and there was great concern for his health or whatever. At one point, Domiki's whatever distant relative is like, so you've finally gotten better control over it. He's like, not quite, but I'm getting there.
Exactly. And with Hakuto, of course, she, spoiler alert, I'm dead, she sacrifices herself to basically wake Subaru up from a coma. So now she gets herself killed, and Subaru wasn't exactly dead. That doesn't exactly seem like equal payment to me, to totally go and get yourself dead, just to wake your brother up.
Accepted a form of transcendence, so to speak.
Yeah, so now she's like floating out in limbo somewhere because, well, we can't really kill you for someone that wasn't dead. And so maybe she finds some kind of way out. This way out maybe being the shop.
Well, that would kind of fit with how Yuko disappeared, because Yuko didn't actually die either. She just vanished. And if we take your theory of
into the void,
Yuko was her getting a stabilizer, so to speak, as a way of, say, buying time, you know, it would further explain why she disappeared the way she did.
And when Hakuto is killed, of course, it's under the cherry blossom tree because Dr. Zukamori. And when Yuko's about to, you know, disappear into the void, it's with that damn cherry blossom tree.
Butterfly as her symbol.
Which is, butterflies are very much about rebirth and that transformation, which she's reborn into Yuko. I mean, I'm not saying Hakuto is Yuko, but
Interesting theory.
but that's my theory.
And it does fit with the level of weird we're used to from Clamp.
Yeah, and speaking of weird, you know, there's a lot of weird outfits in Clamp, but I mean, Hakuto and Yuko really take the cake for weird outfits. And they've drawn Hakuto in outfits that are eerily similar to things Yuko has worn. So they're only fueling the fire with me.
Hakuto in a Mochino kimono.
Yeah, they drew Hakuto in a kimono with mochanas on it. So, you know, I'm not saying, but
And we know there can only be 2 mochanas, so.
well, technically there's 3 because they plagiarized mochanas off of the mochana from Magic Knight. Because mochana from Magic Knights was just kind of like hopping through universes, and Yuko and Clarice were just kind of like, hey, that's cool, let's make some.
And so now there's 2 of them connected.
Yes. You count them 1 mochana, 2 mochana, and that's it, and then you stop.
There's also
So yeah, that's me rambling on. Does anyone have any of their own theories that they want to share? Come on. It's a weird series. It's a weird universe. I know you're thinking things.
Well, you were talking about how each universe seems to exist in its own dimensional bubble, for lack of a better descriptor.
Yeah, it's got like little spheres that they exist in.
If we run with that idea, there's actually a scene in Tsubasa that would support your idea, and it goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the loop at the end, because it clearly shows that universe existing in something. They don't really explain what it was, but it looks like a snow globe, basically, for lack of a better descriptor. And so if we take the idea from Tsubasa, and Tsubasa was supposed to be Clamp saying, look, here's how everything connects in a way. If we take the concept that that one particular universe where everything is connected can be confined in its dimensional bubble, then we could indeed expand upon that to say, well, this group of series that doesn't fit with this particular group, maybe its own bubble that then connects into this bubble, which then connects into a never-ending spider web of connections.
Yeah, sounds very clamp.
That's a lot of lighthouses.
So I want to know your thoughts on the whole soulmate aspect they have. That how Clamp says that there's two people who, no matter what, are always connected. I always see that as more of a romantic thing, because it is hard to say that isn't a romantic. Like your souls are literally connected no matter where you are in parallel universes. You're always going to be together. It's kind of like I would see that as in like Sharon and Sakura. They are always two, and it's just like fine Kuroga. That's what it's like sitting here there. Or even Toya and Yukino. Yeah, you just I can never see them apart.
I know.
You never see them
Never see them apart.
So I feel like it's always going to be more towards that romantic aspects.
And I think they do skew that way a lot of the time. I mean, yeah.
Like I could never see them in love with someone else.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And they mainly do focus a lot on the pairings when they show them in the other universes. And so I definitely think that their whole soulmate thing definitely does feed into that romantic aspect more than just hey, we're great friends.
Right?
I mean, unless you really want to be oblivious to Tomoyo's crush on Sakura, and you feel like they're just really good friends, but no.
Well, there's that one, there's Mai and Kurogane, there's Watanuki and Domi. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many instances of that that's like, this is way beyond friendship.
Kurogane is
Yeah.
willing to tie his life to Phi.
Yeah.
Clamp started as Yaoi Dojinshi
friends.
artists.
Yeah.
Of course everything's gonna be gay.
Everything's good, everything
But the
hurts.
thing is, they don't do it in a way that's detrimental
life.
to the story, which I think speaks volume of their evolution as artists and writers, because you go from writing the equivalent of fanfic and just throwaway stories to being able to use what you started as just random ramblings, basically, and using that skill as a pivotal point in the stories, because like we just said, there's one in just about every scene. I mean, even the two guys in X, I can never remember their names. Earth and Heaven Dragons leaders.
Fuma and Kamui.
Yeah. I mean, even there, you know, it's like, it's blatantly obvious, and that further feeds my whole theory behind why I feel Tsubasa hints that it's a never-ending cycle, especially when you consider where X ended with one of them about to deliver the killing blow, and then they just ended. And then suddenly in Tsubasa, they mention the events of X and the devastation it's caused. So it's like this relationship, this emotional connection, I feel is the big indicator that the reason they've never really continued X, even after all the disasters all died down, is because it hints that neither one of them is going to be able to kill the other.
Not in the movie.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But that's just my insane ramblings.
No, I mean, we're all insane here. I mean, if we're in the fandom, clearly we need a mental check. Why else would we put ourselves through this? And honestly,
Oh no, I did way worse. My girlfriend, when I first picked up Holly, it was on, well, the first quarter of it's on Netflix, or it was. And so, after it ended, I'm like, well, what's with this ending? And I could never find any information on anything past what was dubbed. So, I went to the manga and I started reading, and my girlfriend's like, what are you doing? You've been quiet all day. Reading, go away. So she's like, what have you been reading? I'm like, I just finished it. Go read Holic. She's like, but I watched it. I'm like, Just
you
read
gotta
it.
read
You gotta read it.
You gotta read it. You gotta
She's
You
read
can't
like,
watch this
what?
stuff, you gotta read
All
it.
about Clamp, you have to read it.
You have to read it.
And she's like, why? I'm like, just trust me. I'm like, you didn't listen to me with Soul Eater. And like, I later found out that all of Holic does have an anime. It's just broken into the 1 dubbed series and 3 subbed. But I didn't know that at the time, so I'm like, look, just trust me. You want to see the end of this story. And at the end of it, she's like, why did you do this to me? I'm like, this is Clamp. I'm like, have you never watched Chobits? No. I'm like, you skipped Chobits. That was like my introduction to Clamp. It's like the easiest found one. And you skipped it. She's like, did they do X? Yes.
My God.
So she hated me for about a week when she got to the part where Yuko vanishes, and she's like, why? And then she gets to the end where it shows the butterfly, and he's like, well, it's been 100 years, maybe it's time to move from this shop. And she's like, when I see you in a week, I'm gonna talk to you. Her idea of talking was to beat me with books.
Well, I think like another thing is like, especially with Donkey looking at that egg.
Yes,
the
the
last
egg.
part.
Ah.
I actually read a fan fiction or something. I know, guys, I read a fan fiction. But dude, it honestly like makes it fairly accurate. It's essentially like that Donkey, he keeps on getting like rebirthed because he's the single son of the family. So he has to get married. It's kind of this thing, especially since he's such a good guy. And he's just like, I love my family. Even though they're assholes and they make me clean all the time. So like essentially there's like this like sad romance between them. And you know,
Yeah.
like, I think especially with this fan fiction, it essentially like said that egg he thought was to like release Wanu from his imprisonment. Because originally he thought of it more so as that. And as the story goes on, it actually says like it was more so to release Domiki after he got reincarnated how many times that there were enough kids in the family that he knew that it'd be fine. And it was actually his grandfather's wish that he gave to whatever. And honestly, it just plays out really well in my head, because especially since the grandfather's still there, and he hints at it so much that he has this wish that hasn't been fulfilled yet. And
Well, if we run with
It
that,
sounds like I have to look that up now. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
It does make several of the events of Holic make more sense, especially his great-grandmother, whatever, his spirit appearing to Watanuki. Exactly. I mean, you know, the more I hear this, the more I think it would make sense, because it explained why he's tied to the shop, why it took until Watanuki was almost ready to take over the shop for him to even be able to find the shop. It explains why his ancestor spirit appears to Watanuki and encourages Watanuki to foster this relationship with him. It really does, for a fan fiction. I think it is a great concept that would fill in a lot of plot holes.
especially that freaking egg.
So about the egg, one of my thoughts about it was, of course, since Holic Ray is basically Holic End, you know, to kind of reset the timeline, we have this egg that's supposed to do something.
Is it Jonah?
Well, you know,
So-
it's an interesting thought, because Ray does pick up right after they're given the egg thing. And it does seem like, I mean, especially with where it ended, there seemed to be heavy hinting that something to do with Watanuki and Domiki was the key to understanding the egg. And then that was the last chapter we got. It's been on hiatus for what, year and a half, 2 years now?
No, it's been longer.
I don't know. I've lost sense of time waiting for plans.
Right.
I really have. like, I've been through 6 manga apps in the time that it's been on hiatus, and Fred's like, why do you keep checking these? I keep hoping one day that we will get more story. He's like, you're delusional. I'm like,
Well,
let me be delusional
Legal
then.
Drug got picked up like after what, like 10 years?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, something like that.
and then went back on hiatus.
Berserk,
Yeah,
they got
I
picked
mean,
up.
We got a new one.
I'd like to keep it so consistent.
So never give up hope on Clamp. There's always hope that they'll maybe do something.
Well, plus, you know, Clamp, especially with this whole bubble universe hype theory we have, you know, there's so much room for expansion upon everything Clamp does that, you know, honestly, I think that's a double-edged sword for them, because I think it's part of the problem with all these freezes is because there are so many possibilities with everything they do, especially after what they did with Tsubasa. I think Tsubasa was kind of jumping the shark, so to speak, and Holic, you know, is the flip side of it. I think, like, I actually read them together in the proper sequence, and that was a headache to do, but if you do it to get the story the way it's supposed to play out, you kind of see there isn't just one possible answer in Clamp. It's millions upon millions. It's like string theory. There's an endless, infinitesimal number of possibilities, and I think that's what they wanted to do with the new Tsubasa and Holic, and I think they kind of hit a point where it's like, this is where we're at, and here's an entire room full of ideas that we don't know which to pick.
Especially since a lot of your kids stop. That was really cute, by the way. I love them dearly. They're such good friends.
But yeah, another point
But I think the biggest question in the Holic universe, you know, I was thinking about your theory about her becoming Yuko.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it kind of made me think of another question I've had, which is, why did Paimon Reed and Yuko want successors? Especially considering Yuko sort of, like you said, became existent in a limbo state now. Whereas Bai Wong split himself. He gave part of a good chunk of his power to Sakura, and then her brother or whatever got the other chunk of it. So it got me thinking, what if she had contact with Bai Wong Reed before if we go with your theory, say she met him and she had a wish. What if he granted her wish, like you said, to save the guy? And like you said, her life wouldn't really be a proper balance. So, and we know that there was a romance between them. So, in theory, what could have happened is he granted her wish. And like you said, the price far outweighed the wish. So we already know he's immensely powerful. So what if instead of just suffering the backlash bounced off him, so to speak, and created a new entity, so to speak. It transformed her into Yuko. But if we still go with this theory, you know, even that still probably would not be enough to balance the wish. So what if he knew this, and he knew she would eventually pass her knowledge and power on to a successor? So that's why he passed it on, his power on, in hopes of being reunited with her.
Interesting. Really interesting.
What if
purpose for us to fill in. So we keep talking about it, and so we keep going back to the series. They keep making money.
I also think that they have all their universes planned out. They just keep starting a series, realize, oh heck, this person's supposed to be here. We haven't done a series for this person. Put it on hiatus, do this series. Oh heck, this person's in the series now. We haven't done this series. Put it on hiatus. Oh wait, this needs to be this. And everything just keeps tying in together, and therefore they have to keep making new series, putting things on hold, doing things, and just
It would make
one
sense
giant mess.
considering New stuff
Somebody
seems
is
to
playing.
rise right after 2 or 3 of their series goes on hiatus.
A good example of that is Gate 7. So we have
Ray,
Subaru that finishes
Drug
up.
and
We
Drama,
have Gate
something
7.
else are on hiatus
Yeah.
right now, and then we get Gate 7.
But yeah, and so Gate 7, you know, they put out a little bit, enough to get us rolling, and now we're interested, and we're like, yeah, I really want to know more about these characters. I'm like, no, not hiatus. But hey, guess what? We have new Tsubasa. Who's in new Tsubasa?
Gate 7.
Not Gate 7, but Gate 7. So, I mean, that's
But I
something
think
too.
that's what makes the Clamp universe great, is the fact that there is no clear-cut answer. It leaves room, it gives it a sense of mystery and wonder. I think that's something not a lot of series or even novels or movies have achieved, you know. Everything usually has a fizzle point, yet because of all the gaps and plot holes and hiatus, Clamp has transcended that to a point where it's an ever-growing fandom on a very large scale because of all the speculation it creates.
So people are scared to start it.
Yeah.
Very true.
Even-
Like a friend of mine, he had heard of Chobits, and I think he watched part of it, and we went to the only comic shop my town had, and they had just done the big 3-book series, and so he got those, and I'd already read it. I'm like, okay, go ahead, get your book 1. So around this time, he had recommended I read Dead Man Wonderland because the anime stops
Oh, yeah.
halfway, and so he had forgotten he had bought book 1 of Chobits. So I sat there after I read it, I called his